going and keep them providing food for our nation and the world as a whole.
I'm Alexa Liacco.
Alexa, thank you, and that will do it for us today. I'm Chris Stewart. Denver 7 News at 5 starts right now.
We're working to ensure that race no longer predicts housing outcomes.
Righting wrongs.
This is a step to correcting those wrongs.
Denver looking to increase home ownership in communities of color, giving out tens of thousands of dollars to put towards a down payment.
There's no interest, and you don't have to pay it back.
And putting one northern Colorado town on the map.
It's great now, but it'll make it a better place to live and to work and to play.
New developments moving into Johnstown.
I think we have the best of everything.
And Denver police now have a suspect in custody accused of killing a family of 3, including a 4-year-old boy.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5 tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jacqueline Allen. First tonight, Denver police make an arrest in a shooting that left 3 family members dead. Let's get to Denver 7's Patrick Perez, who was at today's press conference.
So, Patrick, the suspect knew the victims.
Yes, Shannon, one of the victims was the suspect's own aunt. Today, police identified him as 24-year-old Elijah Jaquez Hood. He went by EJ. He was booked into jail yesterday. This is his mugshot that I want you to see here. He's accused, like you said, of shooting 3 family members. 65-year-old Denise Hood, who was his aunt, 23-year-old Allen Jr., that police say was a good friend of his, and 4-year-old McKay Allen. The shooting happened about 2 weeks ago inside an apartment at East Range Crossings. That's near 59th and Dunkirk in Denver. Then this past Sunday, Denver police arrested Hood near Tamarack and Hampton thanks to your Crime Stoppers tips and information that they learned. Police say Hood would not do an interview, but they do believe that he and the 23-year-old male victim had a falling out of some sort. Why he also killed his aunt and a 4-year-old boy is a mystery.
There's no explaining it. I don't think there's anybody in this room or in this community that can explain something that horrific when it involves a small child.
So Hood is facing 3 counts of murder in the first degree. He has at least 2 prior convictions for robbery and illegal possession of a weapon. He was not supposed to have a gun. As for the victim's family, police tell us that, of course, they are relieved that Hood has finally been arrested. They have a GoFundMe to pay for the funeral expenses of 3 family members. We have that information on the denverchannel.com. Shannon?
All right, Patrick Perez tonight. Patrick, thank you very much. Also new tonight, an Alabama fugitive awaiting trial for murder and a former corrections officer are now in custody after a 10-day manhunt. Vicky White and Casey White were found in Indiana after leaving police in a car chase. Vicky was taken to the hospital. CNN is reporting she shot herself. Police say Vicky helped Casey escape on her last day before her retirement. Well, crews are still searching Cherry Creek Reservoir for the body of a 29-year-old man who went missing over the weekend. Parks and Wildlife say he was not wearing a life jacket Saturday when he fell off an inner tube. He's being pulled by a boat. The Cherry Creek Reservoir will stay closed to boating as this search continues.
A brief fire this afternoon set off alarms at the Suncor refinery in Commerce City. South Adams County Fire was able to knock down the flames in just about 15 minutes. Suncor is saying the fire happened at its Plant 1 gasoline making unit and that no one was hurt. Students at Fort Collins High School found a bag of empty gun magazines near campus today. The campus immediately went into lockdown as police investigated. In the end, no gun was found. Police were able to find the bag's owner, and they say there was no threat to students. Redlining is part of Denver's history, and it certainly is not a good part.
No. From the late 1930s all the way to the beginning of the 2000s, communities of color were often refused home loans in certain areas just because of their race.
Well, now the city is hoping to right that wrong by offering tens of thousands of dollars in down payments to help generations of Coloradans affected by this practice. Denver 7's Micah Smith is going deeper into today's announcement.
And Micah, the city already has its first recipients.
Shannon and Jacqueline, it does, and I spoke to one of them. When we talk about race predicting housing outcomes, it seems like a decades-old concept that doesn't have an impact anymore. But the program participant I talked to told me his family's redlining experience is still having an impact, even in 2022.
This is a picture of my grandpa at his church, Macedonia Church, with Martin Luther King in 1964.
Dontrell Stark says his grandfather fought to end all racial discrimination in Denver, including in housing. But 60 years after this picture was taken,
to this day, that we're still struggling with the same thing that my grandparents struggled with.
Starks is finding it hard to buy a home.
I have been trying to buy a house for probably about 10 years, but it never seems to work. Oh, your down payment money hasn't been sitting in the bank long enough. Or, you haven't been working at this job long enough.
For far too long, communities of color have been excluded from the American dream.
During a news conference, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock and Chief Housing Officer Britta Fisher announced the launch of a new program helping future homeowners of color like Starks.
$15,000 to $25,000 to help with down payment or closing costs. There's no interest, and you don't have to pay it back.
You do have to be someone impacted by redlining between the years of 1938 to 2000. Redlining is the practice of refusing to give someone a home loan in certain areas of a city because of their race. In Denver, redlining forced people of color to live inside the lines on this city map, limiting home ownership opportunities for Black and Latino residents.
About 50% of us Denverites own our homes, and it's 54% among white households and much lower for BIPOC households at just 41%.
History repeating itself.
Starks is one of the first to participate in the program.
You would think that it would be getting easier over all this time. You would think that we wouldn't even need a Metro DPA program to help Black people get into these homes, but we do.
After 10 years of banks turning him down, Starks says his family of 7 can finally move out of their 3-bedroom house and into a home that fits his family.
Now, through the Metro DPA program, the city of Denver is hoping to increase home ownership among people of color from 41% to 45% by the year 2026. Jacqueline.
All right, thank you, Micah. And going deeper, Denver City Council is discussing several resolutions related to housing tonight. One helps the city identify people who are in and out of prison and often homeless and try to get them into safe, long-term housing. Another bill changes the city's zoning code to expand the Housing Affordability Project. That requires a portion of new large developments to have affordable units.
Tonight, Aurora City Council is meeting to revise parts of the new urban camping ban for that city. Council expects to award a contract to the company that will help with camp cleanups. They'll also approve where the personal items will be kept of those who are moved from the encampments. Since the ban went into effect at the end of the month, Aurora tells us notices have been issued to remove 6 of these encampments.
Johnstown, just south of Fort Collins, is getting ready for growth.
A developer plans to build 1,500 new single-family homes. Of course, that will give this small town off I-25 a big boost in population.
Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez is going in depth on how this project could shape the town for years to come.
Those who have called Johnstown home for decades remember how small it used to be.
1,500 people when we moved here. It's just nuts.
Today, the population hovers around 15,000, something this customer of Cassidy Sports Grill wants no part of.
We've been here 27 years, and we moved here 95 from Longmont to get away from all the growth in Longmont, and they're all moving up here and ruin this.
A new development will now bring in 1,500 single-family homes to this part of Johnstown off I-25. For the owner of Cassidy's, change could be a good thing.
We can keep people here in Johnstown instead of going to other places.
Brian Jones moved into town almost 20 years ago. He says Johnstown still has a small town feel, and more people means more business.
Business, yeah, has definitely picked up, and I don't see it changing. I'm sure that it's going to bring more businesses, competition, if you will, but I never see new places opening up as competition.
The mayor of Johnstown insists potential commercial businesses coming in isn't only a benefit to future residents, but also those already in town.
They don't have to travel out of town to do their shopping, so it's a big advantage to the people that live here now, and I think they understand that. It's just getting over the stigma of growth.
Mayor Lepsak says one of his focuses is making sure the expansion is done right and accompanied by proper streets, infrastructure, and keeping local business alive.
Well, through all of the development that we see coming, it's going to make Johnstown a better place.
Overall, more than 3,000 homes are set to be built in Johnstown, an opportunity some are eager to welcome, while staying true to Johnstown's roots. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
More fire weather worries this week. I'll let you know if there's any sign of some rain.
Plus, mysterious cases of hepatitis among kids is being investigated by the CDC, with at least one confirmed case in Colorado.
We still don't have all the data necessary to make an informed decision about what is driving this increase in cases.
And can the Avs in the Preds playoff run sweep the series despite losing their star goalie for Game 4?
Ryan Johansson just put the blade of his stick right through Kemper's mask and speared him.
Just a freak accident. We're hopeful on Kemps for sure, but if Frankie's our guy, we're ready to go to battle for him.